What is good, everybody? My name is Theo, and I'm the creator of Overcome, and I'm so glad and blessed that you guys are able to now finally see the Overcome screening. This has been with a lot of love, a lot of time, a lot of effort has gone into it, and I'm so blessed and glad that you guys are able to come and see it. So please enjoy, take a deep dive into what it meant to make Overcome. So enjoy, and I'm gonna see you guys soon. Peace.
One of the first things that came to mind was just how much Eve and Toriana looked alike, especially to me, like just watching it. Was that a very intentional casting decision on your end?
Uh, I I thank God for Facebook and Backstage, because it gives me a variety of people of different, well, how people look, right? So, but how this one came, this little girl over here, it was actually an email and it wasn't Backstage. So I got super lucky times 10 because God is the best connector. So, but intentionally for Toriana when she was older, I had to make sure that she looked a certain way, represented a certain type of people, and that's always my goal. So, yeah.
It's beautiful. We'll just go back to the very first question everyone asks. What brought about this film? What was your inspiration for it?
Yeah. So I wrote this movie back in 2023, and in that time, that was probably one of the hardest times of my life. Going through a whole lot of change and a whole lot of just different factors. And one of the things that kind of got me through that was, okay, yes, I'm going through the mud and I'm going through whatever I'm going through, but certain things came about that I saw the fruit of. And one thing that I know is that it is so easy to get in this routine of just doing, doing, doing. It's so easy to just like say like, hey, I'm going through this and this is all that matters. But it's like there is something at the end of it. And I wanted to make sure that in this case it was a marriage, but in this case it's someone's death and then leading up to other things. But at the end of the day, it wasn't just about this. It wasn't just about the parenthood. It wasn't just about this particular story. It's about like all areas, whether you're facing job loss, whether you're facing obviously the death of a loved one, of an uncle or wherever. It's knowing that we can overcome in every situation, and it's not just relegated towards this, but that's just something that I knew for a fact that it's going to resonate with somebody, and um, and yeah.
Speaking of resonating with someone, your target audience for this,
Yeah.
who who exactly did you have in mind for it?
Uh, I mean, I'm not a parent, so there's that, obviously. But I think my target audience was obviously just anybody. In a sense, anybody who's curious. I think when you have curiosity towards a certain topic, I think that's going to bring out the most out of your learning, out of your experiences, because no one's ever going to do anything just because, right? No one's ever going to do anything because there's no effort in towards it. But if you have the curiosity to learn and do something, I think that's who I want to target. And doing this story, obviously, it's called Overcome. Is that we're overcoming, but it's like some people, I'll say, they stay where they are, right? But it's not until you say enough is enough that I need to do something about it. And in this case, Donovan chose faith, and that is something that I wanted to highlight. That he's choosing his faith to help him overcome, and whatever the area that is. So, yeah, that's what I would say.
It's beautiful. To go on somewhat of a lighter note and a parental note, for you, Miss Toriana, you said you have a boyfriend. I feel like every single adult and parent in here just went like, no. That's it, yeah, no. How did that feel to be able to say that line in the movie? You delivered it perfectly.
Um, I guess because I just became the character. It's not me personally. So if she has a boyfriend, then she has a boyfriend. But I don't.
Good. We just got to make that clear. I was trying to ask that question in a respectful way. but that's beautiful. Honestly, the script and the dialogue was so authentic and very true to life, and I really enjoyed it. For you, Miss Eve, there weren't a lot of lines there, but you really exactly. Is that working? Here. Yeah, it's working now. There we go. But you really deliver the passion of someone who has a deep love for our main character. Where did you draw that from?
First off, I'm an actor, so it's what I do. Um, Honestly, where I drew it from is just where I found love. And when I do projects, a lot of the times the characters I play, there's things about them that are not familiar to me. They're not a part of my life. Like Theo said, he's not a parent, so he just, he wrote a film and it came out beautifully. And what I did is, what I usually do is I find things within the script or within the situation or within the character to resonate with. And that's what I did with Eve. And what I really love about this process, and what I was completely unexpecting about the process of working through the character of Eve, is that Chris called me up one day and he was just like, yo, let's meet up. And I'm like, but I'm busy. I can't. And then he's like, but no, let's do it. And through that, and it was only like a 30, 40-minute conversation. It wasn't that long before we got to set. But through that, we discovered things to love about the characters. So even though we didn't know each other, we were just able to connect and find common ground on certain things. So when we finally did get to set together doing that, he'd been at it much longer than I had at that point, because obviously leading man. But even that day in the forest, it was just going back to that conversation and finding the things that we had in common and the things that we shared the same values and the same mind frames on, and just bringing that to the surface and kicking the nerves to the side. Theo was really great and really supportive, because as I was getting my makeup done, he's like, here's this song. Listen to this song. It'll get you where you need to be. And it helped. It really did. And, we just work together. It is a collaborative process, and we're being very vulnerable with each other. But I found things to love about him, and I found things to love about the project. And I was able to bring that to the characterization and the life of Eve.
That's truly beautiful. Can we give a round of applause for Miss Andrea? Thank you so much. And you, sir, the father figure. What's the story between you and your son here?
I think the story between my son and I is I found my character to be someone who really wants to do a good job, but has throughout his life faced a lot of demons. Obviously, we seen him passed out there, so he's got a bit of a drinking problem. But Chris and I actually had a few conversations before we started shooting, because I wanted, obviously it was our first time meeting and everything as well, and I wanted to get to know him as a person, and then kind of wrap our characters together into that. And like I said, I just found that throughout time we've developed this very tumultuous relationship, but it was sort of serendipitous because I had actually just finished watching Shameless before Theo reached out to me. And I absolutely love the antithesis character of the father. And so I drew a little bit on that, like really intrinsically wanting to do the right thing, but having all these things to overcome that are kind of standing in your way of being, I am a parent, so every day for me is kind of a battle to just be the best parent that I can be in, the environment that I'm in. So I kind of drew on a lot of personal stuff as well to kind of put this guy together.
And speaking of personal stuff to draw on, is this something that when you were on that deathbed scene, is that something that you've had some depth of loss that you could draw on from that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, I was with my younger sister who passed away, and today is her birthday.
So sorry.
So sorry to hear that.
But I mean, honestly, like I feel blessed that I can carry on the legacy and I have something very special to remember on her day. So I love that. So I drew on that, and it's difficult because, you know, it's a very sad scenario, and I'm a parent as well. So from that angle, just seeing my son devastated, it was a difficult role to play.
I can imagine. I can imagine it was heavy, even after the fact. How were you able to just take yourself out of that space mentally after the fact?
Honestly, it was laying there. Getting into character was fine, but like the scene with the fighting before was kind of hard to stay in character for that because there was so much going on, and I'm like, you know, I'm dying, and I'm seeing my son and my husband fighting. It's not really something you want to witness in your deathbed. So, I guess that was a little bit of a distraction because when I, you know, witnessed that in my personal, it wasn't like that. You know, it's a completely different scenario. So,
Oh, thank you. It really did come through on the screen, and we really appreciate you just being vulnerable in that moment with us.
thank you. I was really surprised at what I saw. Actually, I just had to grab my chest when I was watching the scene because I just couldn't believe. I was very surprised. I was moved.
Excellent. Can we give a round of applause for her? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chris, our lead-in man.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
There were some moments there that I caught you laughing. Was that at yourself, at just the speed with which you fell in love, or was that just your discovery you've always been in love?
To be honest, there were some parts I was cringing, because I'm looking at myself and I'm like, I don't usually see myself, so seeing myself when I do get the chance, sometimes I cringe and it's like, yeah. But it's art, and I don't expect it to be perfect. I do work on making progress. I believe every creative here strives for excellence, but we also know that we cannot hit perfection. And in that, we give ourselves grace to make improvements. So me personally, yeah, seeing certain things, I feel like there was a hit and miss, but at the same time, I'm not beating myself too much on the things that I feel like I missed out. But overall, the experience was definitely challenging. It was definitely challenging. It was a beautiful experience too, as well. I mean, while we were shooting, there were certain things that happened where, like, we were moving from location to location, and I got stopped by the cops. I got arrested. Yeah, and in the midst of it, well, sorry for dropping that. If that was just all of a sudden, but yeah, there was so much setbacks during the production, and why I'm sharing this is because, like, obviously you would see some hiccups in the total production, right? But we've been able to pull through with everything that we were challenged with. And of course, we haven't actually, it's not perfect, but why we share this still is because I see some of the creatives here that I've worked with, that have taught me, that have, been my colleague in different projects, and sometimes we feel scared to put ourselves out there being an actor is a very vulnerable position to expose yourself, and sometimes you just gotta take it and move with it. And so we got here, and I'm glad. And thank you all for coming in to show your support. It's great to see familiar faces and new faces. So yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. It truly shows. Yeah, let's give a hand of applause. This is incredible. It really is. That's an example of overcoming right there. Like overcoming being arrested while in the middle of a film shoot. That's insane. But yeah, that's incredible. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say that Theo did his thing because I think that there were certain parts during the days that we were shooting that all of us, cast and crew, had to overcome personal struggles and personal things that we were just going through in order to get these shots and get this film. And it's just like you had to have a belief in something that was greater than yourself and what you were doing in that moment, because if you listened to what was happening in that moment, you wouldn't do anything at all. You would have gone home, stayed home, and you wouldn't have responded to a post. You wouldn't have tried to go to a table read. You wouldn't have gotten your wardrobe together. You wouldn't have moved hell and high water to make it from the Montreal airport to the middle of, where were we? Georgetown, Caledon, something like that to get to set that day, to just get the one shot that Theo woke up that morning and said that he needed. And it's just like, okay, you believe in the project, so you're gonna do it. And I heard about Chris's issues while there, and I was just like, that's commitment. I mean, just to go through what you go through, and you're like, okay, I still believe enough in this I'm not gonna let that affect the story that I want to tell and the impact that I want to have. And you realize that you just can't let yourself down, number one, but you just can't let everybody else down. And we were, the cast, the crew, we were committed.
Love what you just said right there. I'll say this and then I'll let Theo go. In terms of just, I think one of the themes I drew from watching it is he was so inspired by being there for his daughter that I think that also drove your commitment to overcoming. Because there were moments where you could have given up and just thrown in the towel. So the fact that life very well just imitated art is such a beautiful thing. It was, obviously that's not intentional, but it speaks to just the perseverance and the theme of life, where it's just about moving on, in spite of everything going on around you. Can you speak to that a bit more?
Yeah, just like I think as you go through trials and tribulations and problems, it's like, how much more could I take of it? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going through this, and like, okay, these characters, I need them to go through real life situations. I need them to actually go through the fire instead of them going around it. Because when you go through something, that's what builds your character. That's what actually takes you from where you are now to where you will be. And as someone who's a man of faith, I believe that as you go through these trials, or you go through these tribulations, God can take you from a place of despair to a place of upliftment. And that is through storms, not around storms. Because if you go through, that's when you produce fruit. When you go around, it's when you're cutting corners, just like LeBron and cheating the game. He's the greatest player of all time. Don't at me. Better than Michael Jordan. I just had to put that out there, But it's striving for more. It's striving to keep going and going and going, no matter what it is. Because as for me myself, I could see myself writing this movie and a tear would be coming down my face because I'm like, this is it. This is what it means to actually overcome something. And I remember, put your business out there, Chris, but the police, came and all that, and I did the context to it. So it obviously was.
We're open here.
Just to clear your thoughts, not to think that I'm a criminal or anything. What happened was I was running late to the production, and for some time, I was going through difficulties when Theo reached out to me and said, "Hey, I got a script." And so during that time, I had to stop driving because a lot was happening, and I decided that I was gonna drive on an expired car insurance. And on my way, I got stopped while we were like moving to another location. So I've never been arrested before, but just in that moment, I remember there was a point where I was struggling with my faith, and we had just shot a moment that really resonated with me, with Donovan, with me and Donovan. And it was just surrendering, just letting go of the things you cannot have control over. And right right there and then, I understood that the journey would not be like, I understood that whatever I'm facing or whatever each and everybody like here goes through, yeah, I just realized that there's certain things where like you have no control over and you have to let go. And sometimes we don't know where to look to. In that case, Donovan chose to look to a higher power that he believed was there, even though he was struggling with that. And in that moment was when I also decided to look to a higher power. Right after that, that's where I got stopped and then got arrested. And I was like in handcuffs, never been in it before, and I was just wondering like what's gonna happen after this? How are we gonna get this movie going? Or what's gonna happen with even everything that's gonna happen, like what's gonna happen with this case? And in that moment, I was finding the strength to pray, and the police officer Theo came in. Police officer let me go, gave me my tickets and whatever. We got back on track, and like Andrea said, sometimes we look at things. It's not about us. We have to look at the bigger picture. And I believe each and every one of us go through our struggles, and we are overcoming something. And yeah, it was definitely an experience, and yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for just being vulnerable and sharing that. And honestly, like you said, the higher power been Jesus, and I am also a man of faith, and struggling with faith is something that I think we all have experience with. We all have times when life just kind of hits us in the face, and we can't just help but say, "Okay, God, are you real?" And just show me a proof that you're real. So I especially love the artistic choice that was made, where the light was just sort of very overcoming on him and overwhelming. I am gonna look to pass the mic to our audience. Does anyone have any questions for our cast or our director? Who would? You can just raise your hand and I'll come down and give you the mic.
I got no questions. Oh, there we go. Okay.
It's like I want these questions. Though.
Yeah, you know.
Hi, hello. Donovan goes through a time where he actually questions his faith in God, and most Christians go through that as well. And I was wondering if that particularly comes from a direct experience of you questioning your own faith, and that's why it was so important to tell this story, or did you just find it to be relatable to like many Christians out there? So, like, where did this story kind of come from? Why was it so important to you to be told? This is for Theo, of course.
For me? Okay. Thank you. I mean, I know we all have questions. I don't know if everybody here believes, but I know that at some point, for the people who were Christians, they had questions, and they had those struggling thoughts. I know I did too, and kind of wanted to show the wrestle that took from someone who is on the fence, someone who heard about who this God is or heard about who this Jesus is, but they actually went on and asked and took the step forward and said, I'm going to actually do it. But everybody's story on how they get there is different. Some people, and it takes 20 years. Some people, it never happens. But it's the process. It's the story that that I think is what's best. I think that's what I wanted to convey and whatnot. So just to struggle, just to wrestle, and then ultimately, obviously, surrendering when God knows, He knows when the time is right. So, yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone else?
Hello. I'm an aspiring filmmaker myself, and I have a question for the filmmaker.
Yes.
A project like this takes multiple days, multiple shoots, multiple locations, different people, different moods every day. How do you keep the core message alive every single day, day after day, shoot after shoot?
It's you guys. It's the crew. Like, I honestly, all I had to do was put a vision, and these guys just ran with it. Like, I every day, I you guys see, I give them announcements and I say, "Thank you guys so much. Cheers, Theophilus." Because it's like, seriously, this vision would not have been done without the help of these people, and I'm so blessed that even the people that I know from previously, even the new people that I've met, it has always been, everybody has just been, everybody has just been like, yo, I love the story, let's do it. And always having that initial vision, I think it's what, you need to believe in it first. You know, if you don't believe in what you're doing, it's never gonna happen. So I think because I assume you guys saw the belief that I had in the film, and I think you guys took from that too, even people in the back too. So yeah, just it's truly not me. It's really the people around, honestly, every day. So
We just take a moment, everyone who worked on this film in the audience, could we just take a moment to stand, and we're just gonna have everyone take a moment to acknowledge them.
told you
And
guys
just-
this was happening.
It truly wouldn't have happened without you guys. And I'm glad that we get the time to really honor you. And thank you for helping us to see this and bringing it to life.
Definitely.
Thank you, Patsy.
The thing is, too, is just Theo inspires you to believe in him. I remember when I first saw when his casting for this, and I started looking at his other work, and I'm just like,